talking points. Tuesday night, the big talking point, the Supreme Court in a landmark verdict has scrapped the Chandigarh mayor result, declared the Aadmi party candidate the winner. Has a murder of democracy been averted? Abhishek Manu Singhvi is among my guests tonight. He was the lawyer in that case. Also a very special guest, the man who's making all the headlines, Yashasvi Jaiswal's father, will be joining us. Bhupendra Jaiswal is among my special guests tonight. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. It's a big win for the Aadmi party and the Congress and a blow for the BJP. Supreme Court declares the AAP candidate as the Chandigarh mayor poll winner, says the poll officer unlawfully altered the election outcome. AAP and Congress hailed the verdict, says Supreme Court has saved democracy. BJP stays silent. The Sandesh Kali showdown in Bengal escalates. Kolkata High Court pulls up Mamata government over absconding Neta Shahjahan Sheikh. Asks why is the state government backing a lawbreaker? BJP Shuvendu Adhikari meets the victims. But there is an ugly face-off over Sandesh Kali after the TMC claims that BJP netas led by Shuvendu Adhikari hurled Khalistani jibe at Bengal police. The Sikh community protests. The remark is caught on tape. Congress Samajwadi Party seat sharing deadlock in Uttar Pradesh. Akhilesh Yadav says he will not be part of Rahul Gandhi's Nyay Yatra until seat sharing is decided. Samajwadi Party goes ahead and declares a third list of candidates. Farmers to resume a Delhi Chalo march tomorrow after rejecting the government's 5-year MSP proposal. Punjab and Haryana High Court warned protesters against any public nuisance. The Maratha quota bill passed in Maharashtra. The bill will allow 10% reservation to Marathas in government jobs and education. Prime Minister Modi unveils projects worth over 32,000 crore rupees in Jammu and Kashmir, hails abrogation of Article 370. Congress levels horse trading allegations against BJP and JDS in Karnataka ahead of Rajya Sabha polls, files police complaint claiming MLAs are being poached. BJP says allegations baseless. United States warns Israel against invading Rafah, where displaced Palestinians have been seeking refuge, proposes a draft resolution in the UN for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza. But tonight, my top story is what is being described as a landmark win in the Supreme Court for the Aadmi party and its ally, the Congress, in the Chandigarh mayoral polls. And perhaps one of the biggest setbacks that the BJP has got in recent times. The Supreme Court today stepped in and declared the mayoral poll result invalid and instead announced Aadmi Party's candidate Kuldeep Kumar as the mayor. The polling officer now faces contempt of court charges after the top court observed he unlawfully altered the course of the election. The question is, did this polling officer act on his own, or was he acting on instructions from his party leadership? Our top story tonight is how democracy was saved in Chandigarh.
Big win for Aadmi Party and Congress alliance in Punjab. The Supreme Court on Tuesday set aside the results of the Chandigarh mayoral elections declared on January 30th. The top court declared that Aadmi Party candidate Kuldeep Kumar as the new mayor of the Chandigarh Municipal Corporation. A 3-judge bench headed by Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud held that returning officer Anil Masi made a deliberate effort to deface 8 ballots cast in favour of Aadmi Party's mayoral candidate. The court went on to say that presiding officer unlawfully altered the course of the mayor election and held him accountable for expressing a false statement in front of the court. The apex court said that it was not quashing the entire electoral exercise and restricting itself to dealing with wrongdoings in the counting process. Aadmi Party's mayor Kuldeep Kumar hailed the Supreme Court verdict as a victory of democracy.
माननीय अदालत का जो आज फैसला आया है, इसमें कहीं ना कहीं सच्चाई जीतती है और बुराई हारी है। जो बीजेपी की नीतियां हैं वो हारी हैं। जिस तरीके से वो षड्यंत्र करके अपने लोगों को जिताते आए हैं, आज कहीं ना कहीं वो हारे हैं। माननीय अदालत जी के फैसले से मैं बहुत खुश हूँ।
Aam Aadmi Party and Congress termed the decision a win for India Alliance, which for the first time came together in an election.
इंडिया गठबंधन की ये बहुत बड़ी जीत है, पहली जीत है, बहुत बड़ी जीत है और बहुत बड़े मायने रखती है। एक तरह से उन लोगों से छीन के लाए हम लोग ये जीत। उन लोगों ने तो चोरी कर लिया था ये चुनाव, उन लोगों ने तो वोट चोरी कर लिए थे, लेकिन हमने हार नहीं मानी। हम आखिरी समय तक लड़ते रहे, संघर्ष करते रहे और अंत में हमारी जीत हुई।
3 Aam Aadmi Party councillors defected to the BJP this week, bringing down the India bloc tally. BJP councillor Manoj Sonkar too had stepped down as mayor. If the BJP will make another bid for power remains to be seen.
ऑनरेबल चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया की फुल बेंच का ये ऑर्डर है एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बेंच। तो मुझे लगता है कि जो उन्होंने फैसला दिया है इन ऑन ऑर्डर हम उसको एक्सेप्ट करते हैं और जो भी रेमेडी हमें उसके पढ़ने के बाद, उसको स्टडी करने के बाद हमारी टीम उसको रिसर्च करेगी। अगर हमें लगेगा कि कोई रेमेडी हमारे पास है तो हम उस रेमेडी का यूज करना है या नहीं करना वो हम डिसाइड करेंगे। लेकिन फिलहाल मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि नाउ दिस कंट्रोवर्सी हैज बीन एंडेड।
The court also held that Masi made false statements in the Supreme Court on February 19 that the 8 ballot papers had been defaced before it reached him. The bench further said that it was the duty of the court to preserve the democratic principles. The court issued now show cause notice to him, giving him 3 weeks to explain as to why criminal action should not be initiated against him. With camera person Nasir Khan from New Delhi, this is Kanu Sarda for India Today.
Joining me now is the lawyer who appeared in the Supreme Court on this major landmark court verdict. Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi is, of course, third time sitting MP of the Congress, a member of the Congress Working Committee, chairman of the Standing Committee on Commerce and a national spokesperson. Appreciate you joining us, Dr. Singhvi. Give me a sense of what this judgment means. Should it be seen only in the limited context of what happened in Chandigarh, in the manner in which the Supreme Court suggested that the presiding officer had allegedly attempted to brazenly rig the polls? You're on mute, sir. You're on mute.
Rajdeep, this is a very important formulation by you in the way you put it. It is in fact a much larger question than just seeing it as a court verdict, and it's a larger question, A, for the polity, larger question for how the Supreme Court can and should function, and larger question also, of course, of the kind of political debauchery under your nose happening every day. Let me just be very quick and tell you the debauchery part of it. You know, there is the man brazenly puts dots as an excuse for rejecting. The votes are clear. 20 minus 8 becomes 12, 16 wins. And yesterday, I frankly, you know, I've spent a lifetime in law. I'm really admiring and complimenting the person for his guts and the brazenness with which his point was today put across with righteous indignation. What did I do wrong? Yesterday he says, I put those dots because the ballots had already been defaced. Now brings the second point. The court walked the talk. It's very important for the court to walk the talk, to deal with the last mile remedy. The court yesterday caught this sentence that, look, I have done nothing. I put a dot because it had already been defaced by the candidates. They said, let's have a look at the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Let's get the ballots. By the way, 3 weeks ago, I had got a stay order, which proved very useful, which said all the ballots will be preserved, elections will be stayed, and even the budget session shall not take place. This matter came after 2.5, 3 weeks of that order. Ballots were preserved. When the ballots were opened, there was no defacement by the candidates, which is why the second part of the order prosecutes him or proposes to prosecute him. But I'm not concerned about the individual. I'm not even concerned about this particular case, which at the end of the day is a municipal case. What is interesting, Rajdeep, is you are finding it with brazen, monotonous regularity. And I have no hesitation in saying...
No. One minute. I must stop you. When you say brazen, monotonous regularity, you have to prove it. Are you suggesting to me that what the presiding officer, Anil Masi, did in a Chandigarh mayor poll is happening across the country?
Yes.
How?
Absolutely. Allow me to explain. I am not going to mince words. You take most of the elections across the country. I can understand where it's wafer thin. You will fight. But today, BJP, the new BJP, the non-Vajpayee BJP, the BJP unrecognizable from the true BJP, says we fight to win, which means by hook or by crook, and more by crook or by hook. You will find, tell me, in a Rajya Sabha election, if you are 43 and somebody is 25, I'm giving a hypothetical example, why will the 25 declare a candidate? It's an open election. There's no confidentiality. You have to show your vote. The only reason would be a declaration of intent that we intend to win by two means: money or inducement and fear.
No, you're referring, Dr. Singhvi, to Himachal Pradesh, where you are a Rajya Sabha candidate of Congress, where Congress has 43, BJP has 25. No, you have to show. What happened in Chandigarh was a polling officer allegedly defaced these papers and deliberately, in a way, attempted to rig the polls. The Supreme Court has come out against him. When you say this is happening across the country, you're making a very serious allegation.
Of course I am. It may not be the same form. You may not have a pliant returning officer in Karnataka. But what has happened today in Karnataka as we speak? There is an official complaint filed in FIR lodged that they are trying to do horse trading. What is happening in frequently in Bengal? What is happening frequently in other states? This BJP believes that victory at all costs. That's the larger ethic you have to understand. As I said, today, if you forget my case or your case or this state, the very fact that you declare that we intend to have a candidate with no arithmetical chance of winning indicates and makes an inducement offer. Look, come to me. I am here with weighted bags waiting for you. That is the real point.
No, but can I therefore push you, Dr. Singhvi, because in this case, the polling officer is the one who's now charged, presiding officer, with the possibility of contempt of court. He could be prosecuted, or at least that's what the Chief Justice said, for the manner in which he conducted this poll. But do you believe he was acting on instructions from above? If so, who is the court willing to go that far? Or has the court caught the smallest piece in this entire episode?
Let's be clear, Rajdeep. Number one, he is the entire presiding officer is the word. B, number two, he is being hauled up at the moment at a notice stage for perjury, which is a criminal offense under Section 340. Number three, he says yesterday, 24 hours ago, something which no amount of brazenness would have supported unless he knew that there is protection. Number four, you forget, he's not a government officer. He's a BJP councillor, head of the minority cell, who did not stand for election this time. If you're not standing for election, an ex-councillor can be the presiding officer. He's directly with the BJP. Number five, he repeats this sentence and today argues with righteous indignation. What happened? There's no problem. There's a camera. There are 50 people sitting around. If I look at the camera above me, what is wrong in that? Forgetting that the camera is actually recording what he's doing on the ballot. And on the ballot, the votes are clear. He puts a dot, a squiggle, and then uses his own dot, which does not identify the voter, which does not make it difficult to count. He uses that own thing to disqualify 8 votes. Would he do it without, would a BJP councillor do it without support from BJP quarters? No, do we live in common sense or do we eat grass?
No, so the question therefore comes that does this go beyond this particular officer? But more importantly, the BJP subsequently
he's not an officer, he's a politician.
Yeah, a politician. Subsequently, 3 Aam Aadmi Party MLAs have switched to the BJP. The BJP can now well claim that they actually have, as you see those numbers, they can well claim now that they have the majority with these 3 defections. If that happens, then with a no confidence motion for all that you've achieved today in court, on the floor of that municipal corporation in Chandigarh, the BJP can again defeat you.
Okay, 2 misconceptions I must clear is going around on all the channels. There is no concept of a no confidence. You're not talking of parliamentary democracy. This is a statute, a creature of statute, the municipal corporation, which gives a fixed 1-year term to the mayor. The mayor will last 1 year and go off. There is no concept, no provision, no statute for a no confidence. Get that clear? Okay. This is what is going around.
Okay.
So that is, the fruits of their poison tree will not be so easy for them to eat. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I wish they were to do that. What does it mean? You know, there is in democracy, Rajdeep, I cannot do anything by force. Ultimately, you have the majority to do wrong also. but the repeated wrongs you do by a majority, you actually paint yourself black. The people are seeing that you used the 2.5 weeks between when I got the stay order and today to come back last night, do a strategic resigning of the mayor, and today, very blithely and blasely, argue in the court, why don't we have elections again, sir? Let's have elections. Because you use the 2.5 weeks to induce and cross over these councillors.
So
that's why the court.
Are you making a direct charge, Dr. Singhvi, that the BJP's top leadership was involved in this? The BJP has stayed silent on this. I want to ask you today, are you making a direct charge that the BJP's top leadership, right up to the Home Minister, Prime Minister, are involved in what happens in the Chandigarh mayor poll?
I am not taking names. I don't know where the buck stops. Everybody knows that in this country, the buck stops at the top, at 1.5 levels. Now, that's not the point. The point is I have not lost my sense of common sense. There's this poor Masi, a ex-councillor of the BJP, who is temporarily put in charge of a presiding officer role. Do you think he has the guts to do what he did? You've seen it on camera. For God's sake, Rajdeep, let's not lose our common sense. Unless he has the complete backing of what he thinks is the central government, or what he thinks is the ruling powers of the country, do you think this poor man will have the power or the guts to do it himself? He has, of course, committed perjury, so he's not a poor man. He must be punished. But do you think he had the guts to do all this on his own? And secondly, I want to ask you that this painting yourself black by repeatedly saying now our mayor will resign, we'll have elections again, because why? We have used this time to convert people. I take
your point. Let me ask you in conclusion, do you believe that this is a one-off, where the Supreme Court has actually acted and intervened in this dramatic manner, and I have even declared the poll results something unprecedented almost in Indian democracy? No. Or do you believe that increasingly the court will be forced to look at horse trading, whether it takes place tomorrow in a Rajya Sabha election or indeed in any election in the country?
Well, my clear answer is I jolly well hope it is so. I really and genuinely believe that where the conscience of the court is sufficiently shocked by the facts, it is not in every average ordinary case or just an allegation that the court will intervene. But where you find such facts and the court went down to the bone to look at it, the court must make sure that the remedy follows the default. Otherwise, you'll end up giving a sermon. Today, the court's great virtue in this case has been that they've given last mile remedy or last mile connectivity and not merely given a declaration. Okay. Otherwise, operation successful, patient dies is not the remedy. And that is where a message is rightly sent to the presiding officers of the country, to those who indulge in horse trading, be it in Rajya Sabha or other disqualification proceedings, that look, there is somebody watching over you. Now we understand that the court always doesn't have time. So we sympathize with the lack of time of the court. But when they get down to it, this is the right way to proceed, and they've done it wonderfully.
Okay, let's leave it there. Dr. Singhvi, I know this is a day where you have reason to feel triumphant, but we will wait and see whether this actually changes some of the aberrations that have, I'm sure, distortions that have crept into our democracy and our democratic functioning. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, always a pleasure talking to you. Looking rather natty, off to a wedding perhaps. Okay, let's from there raise some of the big questions. Is the Supreme Court preventing the murder of democracy? Can the BJP today escape accountability, including its leadership? Is horse trading being normalized in the country? Just some of the questions I will raise. The BJP has chosen not to come on this topic, but I'm joined by Desh Ratan Nigam, political analyst who's often spoken in support of the Modi government. Dr. S.Y. Qureshi is former Chief Election Commissioner. Priyanka Kakkar is Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. And Shailesh Gandhi is the former Central Information Commissioner and an anti-corruption activist. I appreciate all of you joining me on the show tonight here. I want to come to you first, Dr. Qureshi. Prima facie, you heard Dr. Singhvi there. He calls it a murder of democracy that has been stopped by the Supreme Court. How do you see it?
I entirely agree with Mr. Singhvi. It was a murder of democracy, and the Supreme Court has taken decisive action and very far-sighted action. They have taken care of every possibility in this case, particularly last 2 days development when there were defections happening. So they've taken the right decision that don't disturb the no repoll. Only the 8 ballot papers which were considered invalid, let us have a look at them, and they were declared valid.
So you have no problem with you believe that the Supreme Court should intervene in such matters?
Absolutely. And in fact, it should have been decided by the High Court in the first place. I have a grievance against the High Court. They gave 3 weeks. Now, what happened? This was a matter which should have been decided by the High Court in 3 hours, if not 3 hours, in 24 hours. They gave 3 weeks. Don't they know that horse trading happens all the time? In 3 and which is exactly what happened. Horse trading happened, and now the figures which you are showing, that despite Supreme Court order, if the mayor is toppled, it's very, very dirty politics.
Okay. Shailesh Gandhi, your first reaction as an anti-corruption activist, is the Supreme Court, has it sent out a signal that enough is enough? We have had enough of cases of not just of a poll being in a way rigged, which is shocking enough, but also horse trading, which has been normalized?
I'm looking at it from a slightly broader perspective. Why do these things keep happening? Our rule of law is pathetic. We are 79 worldwide in the rule of law index, and that is why people are not worried. People can do wrong. If they are powerful enough, nothing will happen to them, and they can rest assured. The chances of punishment are extremely rare. I would not be very surprised if this officer also gets away with almost little punishment or no punishment at all.
No, but is it a positive step? Is it? Do you believe that therefore the Supreme Court has sent out a message that we are watching?
Look, this man was not worried facing the Supreme Court. I saw his demeanor yesterday when he was before the Chief Justice, and he didn't seem concerned. He didn't seem worried. Which should happen? The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India talking to you, and you should feel that you are ashamed. There's no sense of shame, no sense of fear. This needs to change. I do not think of FIR has been filed as yet against him. I have not heard of that. And the system, there seems a flaw. I cannot understand why after a vote is cast, it should be signed by an officer. If a signature is required, it should be before the polling, not after. A system which says after the polling, somebody is going to sign that is open to problems being created.
Okay, so you're pointing to certain issues that this case has raised. I want to come to you, Desh Ratan Nigam. I mean, the BJP is not coming even on any television channels to discuss Chandigarh. It almost seems that their silence suggests guilt, that this is an issue where they have, in a way, been proven guilty by the Supreme Court of no less than murdering democracy. Anil Masi was the Minority Morcha cell head or a member in Chandigarh. And he is the one who was the presiding officer who apparently brazenly defaced certain ballot papers and ruled them invalid.
Well, Rajdeep, let us be very clear. When I was watching the CCTV grab, it appears, and Supreme Court probably confirmed it also, that it was being done brazenly, and he was pointing it towards the camera saying that I am doing it. This is something very strange. Has BJP been trapped into it? BJP needs to have some kind of an internal investigation out here. That is one possible theory. I'm not going to defend this.
What do you mean by trapped into it? Are you telling me Anil Masi would have done this on his own without no one in the BJP knowing about it, and he was trapped into doing this? Surely not.
No, he was not trapped. It's the BJP which has been trapped here, trying to explain, and therefore the silence. And they need to have some kind of an investigation within their own setup to find out as to how this has happened. One. Secondly, it is also a case of EVM now. These were paper ballots. Even if it's the smallest election, let us have EVMs. So there is no manipulation, because then you have a safety mechanism, VVPAT and everything. So that mechanism should be followed in each and every election. See, the fact is whatever happened was very serious. And the Supreme Court came down very heavily on the person, and rightly so. Ultimately, BJP will study the judgment and see what is the final outcome, whether they want to challenge it, review it or not. In my opinion, probably they will not. And secondly, the larger question it has thrown is that the returning officers, the appointment of returning officers has to be very neutral. They manifestly should not be member of any political party. They have to be very neutral and perform their functions in a manner, in an unbiased manner, an unprejudicial manner. Right. And here is the case where Supreme Court has stamped something very serious about it. And let me tell you, I was hearing Mr. Singhvi very carefully when you pointedly asked him brazen monotonous regularity. He was unable to back up with examples.
No, he's
It was
saying horse trading. No, he's saying horse trading now. He was referring to horse trading that takes place possibly in Rajya Sabha elections, the manner in which governments are toppled, amidst allegations that ministerial lures are offered. There is a, in my state of Maharashtra, we now call it khoke ki rajniti.
Let me answer that. When a person of the stature of Mr. Singhvi makes a statement, we should not be talking about possibilities, presumptions, or speculation. You should, if you have something, go to the court. When you make such general statements, then you paint everything with one brush. The election commission becomes bad when you don't win the election. The electoral process becomes bad when you don't win the elections. When you win the elections, it is perfectly fine. Our institutions are robust, they are working, including the Supreme Court. When they do not get the favorable judgment, they start, attacking the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So let us see that our democracy is vibrant, safe, and there are institutions autonomously functioning in this country and discharging their duties and responsibilities. So I will call this as one-off incident, not make generalizations as Dr. Singhvi did.
You want to respond to that, Priyanka Kakkar? I know that the AAP is celebrating today, but the truth of the matter is, since that election took place, 3 of your councillors have switched sides, joined the BJP, and as Desh Ratan Nigam says, this is a one-off. He says the BJP should actually inquire as to who did it. Don't blame the entire BJP structure so quickly.
Rajdeep ji, good evening to everyone. I must take this opportunity to really be grateful and thankful to the Supreme Court for restoring democracy in the country today. It is not just about a win at the Chandigarh mayor polls. This is a prime example of how, where 36 votes were polled and they were within the CCTV cameras. Therefore, we could catch this manipulation. Imagine when 90 crore people vote in the Lok Sabha, what kind of dhandlebazi does BJP do to win? It is pretty clear that Operation Lotus has been one of their modus operandi for the longest time. We have in Delhi faced it repeatedly. You, in your state, you mentioned 50 khoke not okay is a very famous slogan. Also, since he asked for proof, let me ask him if he thinks Anil Masi, a BJP minority cell adhyaksh, could afford lawyers like senior advocates like Mukul Rogi and Solicitor General also advocating on his behalf at one point. How do you think he can afford this on his own? Do you think that there are also rumors within the political circles that Banwarilal Purohit was made to resign because he could not manage the camera, possibly the CCTV, possibly if the BJP had the guts to face these questions, which they don't, if you have a debate on demonetization, you will see them absent. You have a debate on Manipur, they will not appear. You have a debate today, they won't come. There are so many signs. The BJP governor resigns. Then there is this election of this presiding officer. You'll recall on 18th January when the elections were first to be held, he fell sick. Under law, there is a provision. If the presiding officer falls sick, the duty shall be assigned to another person. That didn't happen. How could it be managed? It cannot be done without BJP's complicit involvement. It is impossible. And
no, you're saying without the BJP's complicit involvement. No, 1 minute, ma'am. Ma'am, you're saying without the BJP complicit involvement. But the truth is that when 3 of your councillors choose to go to the BJP, look, what does it show about our politics? They are all willing to be bought over. It's all very well to say, we agree. I agree with you that the BJP has the maximum to answer today. But horse trading requires horses who are ready to bolt. The fact is there are horses ready to bolt. That's the problem in our system.
There is one more thing, Rajdeep ji. Yesterday, one of the councillors, she came on record and said that my husband has been arrested and there's a threat perception towards him. So there are several kind of tactics that BJP uses. They have no morals. They are a corrupt party to the core. They're completely an immoral party, and there's so many examples that we have seen already. So these are really small things for them, using ED, using CBI. How did Chhagan Bhujbal file suddenly get cleaned and he came once he joined the BJP? How did Bhavna Gowli, for example, from your state, after she got 5 ED summons, suddenly the ED investigation dropped against her? So many there are so many other leaders, Harshvardhan Patil, Sanjay Patil, to name a few, who say that we sleep peacefully now that we have joined the BJP. There is no threat from the ED. So these are constant signs, the BJP member of parliament threatening in the parliament, saying that aapke ghar ED bhej denge. There's so many signs to, I mean, if we choose to turn a blind eye and think that BJP is above all of this, that is not true.
I'm not saying the BJP is above.
They have constantly
taken your point,
attacked democracy.
Ma'am, I've taken your point. I've listened to you patiently. You're saying that the BJP has done this on more than one occasion. Dr. Qureshi, can I look ahead beyond party politics? Because clearly there is something structurally wrong with our system, where governments can be toppled through horse trading. It didn't happen only in the last 10 years. It's been happening for the last 40 years. Ayaram, Gayaram, and it's getting worse because here even poll officers with CCTV cameras looking at them are looking to rig elections. I mean, is there something fundamentally wrong?
Yes, Rajdeep, there are 2-3 fundamentally wrong things in this particular case. As Mr. Nigam also pointed out, having a returning officer from a political party to decide in an election in which the same political party has candidates is absolutely absurd. And they say that it is according to municipal rules. If these rules are there, really, they are stupid rules. They must be changed. Laws are changed all the time. This rule must change. The entire election of the country, about 10 lakh polling stations, 10 lakh presiding officers, everywhere, they're all government servants. So therefore, why don't we have a government servant as the returning officer here? So because government servant, one good thing about government servant is we have them by the neck for the next 30 years. Because if they make a mistake, their career will be spoiled. In this case, we'll file an FIR. Surely a FIR should be filed not on one count, but 2, 3. Mr. Singhvi had mentioned perjury 340. And then, I don't know, Mr. Nigam may please inform me, what is the punishment for contempt of court? And I can tell you, Representation of People Act was section 136, which says that if somebody tampers with the electoral document and it names returning officer, assistant returning officer, presiding officer, and anybody, there is an imprisonment of 2 years and fine of both. So this guy deserves all these punishments.
Are you saying that are you saying Anil Masi should be imprisoned? Are you saying he should be imprisoned?
It is section 136. If you want, I can read it out to you.
No,
section 136 very clearly said that anybody who tampers with the electoral documents, and it names returning officer.
What about? So what could the election commission itself have done? They've stayed silent. Could they have done anything? Could they have intervened in a mayoral poll?
So it's number one. This is a state election commission and not election commission of India, because it's a local body.
Could the state election commission have intervened?
Yes, they should. That is they're a constitutional body, and this is their job. We have not heard them at all. So they should come out and they should take action. And somebody has to file all these cases. And although since it is before the Supreme Court, not only the contempt, all other, I told you this Representation of People Act, and every punishment which is prescribed in Representation of People Act is also provided in Indian Penal Code. So all these acts together are.
So you're saying it's a criminal act. You're saying it's a criminal act. He should be prosecuted and jailed. Those are very
2 years.
Okay, 2 years jail should be given. Shailesh Gandhi, do you believe something like that? The court will have to do something dramatic to stop these.
It should be done immediately. It needs to be done immediately. The High Court giving 3 weeks' time for something like this is, really speaking, absurd. Very questionable. Why does the High Court give 3 weeks? To do what? To do horse trading? To deface the original proofs? Why will the High Court give 3 weeks is a question we are not asking. We need to ask that question. Why did the High Court give 3 weeks? And public servants. I wish we had a public servant like Liaquat Ali Chhat, who in Pakistan has said he fooled around with the elections and he says, I should be hanged. I wish we had some public servants of that spirit at least. The system is unable to punish them.
Can I ask you, Desh Ratan Nigam, you heard what was just said by Dr. Singhvi also earlier, that the new BJP wants to win elections by hook or crook. Does this in some way damage the credibility of the BJP? It's India's #1 party. It hopes to get 400 seats in the Lok Sabha, but it cannot even bear a defeat in a mayoral election. What does that say?
Well, Rajdeep, I am not going to the extent of politicizing as Mr. Singhvi did, because he himself is a politician belonging to the Congress. So I'll always take with a pinch of salt the statements that he has been making. BJP wins because of his delivery of his schemes, the popularity of Mr. Modi, and the grassroots workers that they have.
No, then why do they need to fix then why fix a mayoral election? Precisely because of that, what you're saying. Why then fix a mayoral election? What does it show? It shows that you don't even want to lose a mayoral election.
Let me answer that. I said I'll leave that question open because this needs to be investigated by BJP. There is a theory which is a possibility that BJP has got trapped into this, and BJP
so what do you mean by trap? No, I'm not able to understand who would trap it. Come on, Mr. Desh Ratan Nigam, the only people who have to what trap? How can one trap a senior presiding officer who's been asked to handle an election? Trap meaning someone instructed him to do what he did. And prima facie, it would seem it was the BJP leadership.
No, let me tell you, Rajdeep. As a lawyer, I have seen such strange cases where the fact is hidden. When you unearth, you find it that somebody stabbed you from the back, and things happen. And therefore, one of the possible theories out here is that this person, and once it is proven through criminal prosecution that he has done it, because he has got to be criminally prosecuted, as Supreme Court says, is where the onus of evidence and proof is much higher than the civil case. And once it is established, you got to see you have to lift the curtain and veil. I'm not saying who was behind, who was not behind, without naming any person, but you have to lift the veil through some kind of an internal investigation as to who was behind, whether it was BJP or there were some other people who were trying to trap the BJP. This is a theory that I'm giving, and as a lawyer.
Okay, I know some other people who were trying to trap the BJP, I must confess, with due regard, seems a little strange given the way things have unfolded since then. But Priyanka Kakkar, I'll give you a final word. You know, the Aam Aadmi Party is claiming the moral high ground, saying democracy has been saved here today. But there will be many battles come tomorrow. Can you give us an assurance that you were in a similar situation? The Aam Aadmi Party will never try to induce MLAs from the other side?
We have a very high criteria for to be involved in a party. You know, honesty, character, no cases of corruption is a very high criteria in a party.
You're saying that a number of your ministers, with due regard, ma'am, in the Delhi liquor scam are in jail today. A number of your MLA, you know, your own ministers are in jail. So can you take the high moral ground?
Well, you also know it, Rajdeep. Now that you mentioned, yes, I can, Rajdeep ji, and that is also because in time it will unfold too, that the 2019 amendment that they made to the PMLA Act, which revived the provisions which were declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in 2017. Right. That case will also see a similar fate. I assure you, Rajdeep ji, they have changed the laws to the extent that they can keep anybody behind bars without a penny of evidence, which has happened in our case. They've been hounding us for 2 years. They've not been able to recover anything.
I have run out of time, ma'am, but you made your point very...
You will see this also, this case, yes.
Okay, you made your point very strongly. Today is a day where the BJP, frankly, is the one that has to answer. There is a question of accountability and prima facie to be seen to be rigging a mayoral poll does little credit for a party that claims to be a party with a difference, or a party that claims to be the largest political party in the world. And it has required the Supreme Court to give a solid rap on the knuckles. The Supreme Court is watching. One can only hope they watch more often. Thank you to my guests for joining me. When we return, we're going to get you the incredible story of Indian cricket's latest star, Yashasvi Jaiswal. From helping a Pani Puri seller on the Maidan, he's now the toast of Indian cricket. I'll be speaking to his father up next on the News Today.
Pure Wash Electronic Seat by Kohler. Wish everything was this intelligent.
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code.
Sveda by Kohler. Wish everything cared for your skin.
ये बल्ला उठा वो बल्ला उठा इधर उठा तो उधर उठा ये दौड़ी इधर वो दौड़ी उधर हर गेंद को पकड़े उसकी पकड़ मुंबई की लड़की आली रे पलटन पट्टी जारी रे मुंबई की लड़की आली रे
You know, this is a week to celebrate Indian cricket because we may have discovered the next generation stars. Yesterday, we spoke to Sarfaraz Khan's father. Today, we are going to speak to another special guest because Yashasvi Jaiswal is the toast of the town. He's arrived and in style. The much-awaited debut for 26-year-old Sarfaraz was also talked about, but Yashasvi went where no other Indian batsman in a long time has. Certainly not at his age, smashing his second consecutive double century in just 7 tests. Both these boys have overcome every obstacle, and from the Maidans of Mumbai, they've made it big in Indian cricket. Before I speak to Mr. Jaiswal's father, take a look at this incredible good news story.
From the Maidans of Mumbai to the poster boys of Indian cricket. For Yashasvi Jaiswal and Sarfaraz Khan, their journeys have been nothing short of a fairy tale story.
Just 48 balls.
Yashasvi Jaiswal is another underdog story, and his meteoric rise is the stuff of legends. All of 22 years, Jaiswal in his brief career of 7 test matches has already scored 2 double hundreds along with a 171 in the West Indies on his debut. Jaiswal was just 12 and had nothing with him when he moved to Mumbai from Badoi, a small village in Uttar Pradesh. He had no place to sleep, would take shelter in tents at the Mumbai Maidans and would sell pani puri to somehow make ends meet.
टेंट में रहना मेरे लिए इतना इजी नहीं था। मैं जब वहाँ पे रहता था तो वहाँ पे ना लाइट थी ना टॉयलेट थे। वहाँ गर्मी में बहुत गर्मी होती थी, अगर बारिश हो रही है तो बहुत पानी अंदर आ जाता था। मेरे लिए इतना आसान नहीं था वहाँ पे रहना, लेकिन मेरे ध्यान में एक ही चीज़ था, अगर मुझे क्रिकेट खेलना है तो मुझे ये सब मेरे लिए कुछ मैटर नहीं करता। मेरे लिए एक ही चीज़ मैटर करता है कि मैं क्रिकेट कितना अच्छा खेलूँ।
At that time, Jwala Singh, a local coach in Mumbai, took him under his wings and provided him shelter.
He is my student और 22 साल की एज तक मेरे साथ मेरे घर में रहा है। फिलहाल अभी वो इंडिया के लिए खेल रहा है और आईपीएल खेल रहा है। और जब प्लेयर थोड़ा सा आगे जाते हैं तो ऑफ कोर्स वो अलग अलग टीम के अलग अलग कोचेस मिलते हैं, लेकिन 10 सालों मेरे साथ रहा है तो मैं बोल सकता हूँ कि he was and he's always with me.
Their sheer determination, despite umpteen roadblocks, Yashasvi Jaiswal and Sarfaraz Khan have paved the way for millions to dream big. These two youngsters are the Cinderella men of Indian cricket, and guess what? They have just started. Sports Bureau, India Today.
And earlier today, I spoke to a very special guest. Bhupender Jaiswal is the proud father of Yashasvi Jaiswal. Bhupender ji, बहुत मुबारक। यशस्वी ने तो क्रिकेट दुनिया को एक अलग लेवल पर ले गया है। 2 डबल सेंचुरी और 1 सेंचुरी अपने पहले 60 टेस्ट मैचेस में। किस तरह से देखते हैं आप? कभी ऐसी उम्मीद की थी कि आपका बेटा ऐसी ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचेगा सर?
जी सर, बेटा मेरा मेहनत करेगा तो क्यों नहीं जाएगा। वो बहुत शिद्दत से मेहनत करता है और बचपन से उसकी आदत थी मेहनत करने की, और मेहनत करेगा तो भगवान उसको सफल जरूर करेगी।
मैं ये पूछने वाला था कि जिस दिन मैंने सुना है, जिस दिन पहले टेस्ट वेस्ट इंडीज में उसे बुलावा आया और उसने सेंचुरी भी की उस मैच में, आप रोने लगे, आप बहुत भावुक हुए। क्या ये सही है कि जैसे ही आपको पता चला वो इंडिया के लिए खेलने वाला है, आप रो पड़े?
जी सर, मेरे लिए तो इंडिया के लिए खेलना सबसे बड़ी उपलब्धि थी। अब हर कोई बाप भावुक तो हो ही जाएगा। मतलब कि मेरा सपना, मेरा ड्रीम, मेरा सब कुछ मेरे बेटे ने पूरा कर दिया।
भूपेंद्र जी, आप आते हैं उत्तर प्रदेश से और आप मुंबई ले आए यशस्वी को 10 साल की उम्र में कि वो क्रिकेट वहां खेले। क्या आप खुद क्रिकेट खेलते थे?
मैं खुद बॉलर था, ऑलराउंडर था।
अरे वाह, तो आप ऑलराउंडर थे, लेकिन क्या आपने तय किया था कि जब यशस्वी छोटा ही था कि मैं इसे इंडिया के लिए क्रिकेटर बनाऊंगा, किसी भी हालत में मुंबई के मैदान में रहकर उसे क्रिकेटर बनाऊंगा?
बिल्कुल सर, मेरी ये सोच थी। मेरे दोनों बेटों को मैं क्रिकेटर बनाया हूं। एक बेटा सक्सेस हुआ, एक बेटा ट्राई कर रहा है।
अरे वाह, क्या खासियत है यशस्वी में? क्या देखा आपने उस छोटी सी उम्र में कि आपको लगा ये इंडिया का स्टार बन सकता है? उसमें खास बात क्या है आपके बेटे में?
सर, वो बचपन से ही क्रिकेट, जब कभी भी सचिन सर का वो टीवी पर कोई मैच देखता था तो पूछता था मुझसे कि पापा मैं कैसे टीवी में आऊंगा। तो मैं उससे बोला कि बेटा बॉम्बे चलोगे तब तुम आओगे। तब हम उसको बॉम्बे लेके आए थे और वहीं से उसका गाड़ी स्टार्ट हुआ तब।
भूपेंद्र भाई, मैंने सुना है जब शुरुआत में आप मुंबई आए, काफी कठिनाई थी। फैमिली एक टेंट या यशस्वी एक टेंट में रहना पड़ता था उसे आजाद मैदान में। ये भी कहा जाता है कि वो एक पानी पूरी स्टॉल में वहाँ उस शॉप ओनर को मदद करता था। कि ये सब सच है कि इतनी कठिन कहानी थी, कुछ आसान नहीं था उन दिनों में?
नहीं सर, ये सच्चाई है कि वो जाके पानी पूरी की दुकान पर मदद करता था। शाम को 1 घंटे 2 घंटे उसके पीछे उसको कुछ मिल जाता था, इससे हम लोगों का खर्चा उन लोगों का चल जाता था।
तो पानी पूरी बेचकर एक तरह से खर्चा बन जाता था उन सालों में। कभी लेकिन सोचा था कि इस मुकाम तक पहुंचेगा? क्या पूरा परिवार एक तरह से इस यशस्वी को आगे बढ़ा रहा था, बेटा तुझे कुछ करना ही है? ये तो इकबाल फिल्म स्टोरी बन गई है।
बिल्कुल सर, पूरा परिवार एकदम उसी, हम लोगों का यही थिंक था कि मेरा बेटा इंडिया टीम में एक दिन खेलेगा, जब मेहनत करेगा तभी खेलेगा।
आपको लगता है भूपेंद्र भाई, इतने साल मुंबई के मैदानों में खेलकर, जी मैदान पर खेलकर वहां वो मेहनत, वो आदमी तगड़ा बन जाता है क्योंकि मुंबई मैदान में खेलना मुश्किल होता है। क्या वही उसको एक तरह से एक भूख थी कि अगर 100 रन बनाए, नहीं 150 बनाऊंगा, अगर 150 बनाए तो 200 बनाना है? मुंबई के मैदान से भूख एक निकलती है।
सर, उसको अच्छा स्कोर, लंबा स्कोर बनाने की बचपन से ही आदत थी। कोई भी टूर्नामेंट खेलता था तो अच्छा रन करता था।